Welcome to Kindle English Podcast, your cozy space to learn, grow, and speak confidently.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Kindle English Podcast on YouTube. It is so good to have you here with us.
Hey, everybody. Great to be back.
Okay, I want to start with a question for everyone listening and for you too, Finn. Have you ever read a book that stayed with you long after the last page, but struggled to explain why in English?
Oh, only every time. I finish a book I love and my entire vocabulary just shrinks to 2 words. It's good. It's so frustrating.
Exactly. It's easy to say it was amazing, but how do you truly express the profound impact it had on your thoughts, your habits, or even your life? In this episode, you'll learn how to give simple, powerful book reviews in English that sound natural, meaningful, and personal, so your words can inspire others, just like the book inspired you.
Okay, I love this topic. We're moving past it's good, I'm righty, and profound. That's the perfect word to start with. It means something that's really deep and intense, right? An effect that goes way beyond the surface.
That's exactly it. It's a feeling that hits you on a much deeper level. And that's what we're exploring today, the books that have had a profound effect on us. We'll be sharing some personal stories and, of course, teaching you all the vocabulary and phrases you need to talk about the books you love.
And hey, while you're here, if you find this helpful, do us a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button on the Kindle English Podcast, give this video a like, and maybe share it with a friend who also loves books. It honestly means the world to us.
It really, really does. Okay, so Finn, to get us started, what was the first book you can remember that made you feel something more than just entertainment?
The first one. That's a tough one. It probably wasn't some classic piece of literature. I think it was a fantasy book about a kid who discovers a secret world. And it wasn't just a fun story. It was my first real taste of escapism.
Ooh, I love that word, escapism. It's that feeling of getting so lost in a story that you forget about your real life for a little while, right?
Yeah, precisely. It's not about avoiding your life in a bad way, but more about visiting another reality. This book was a portal. I wasn't just a kid in a boring town anymore. I was fighting dragons and discovering ancient magic right alongside the main character. I was living vicariously through him.
Living vicariously, experiencing the story through the character's eyes. That's such a powerful part of reading. That feeling that you're not just observing, you are the person on the page. That's where the magic is. Teens. It wasn't a fantasy. It was actually a very simple, quiet novel about a woman who decides to change her entire life in her 40s.
Okay, so the opposite of dragon fighting. What was it about that book that stuck with you?
Honestly, I'm not sure I could have explained it back then. But reading it, I had this sudden, overwhelming moment of understanding. It was a true epiphany.
An epiphany? That's like a light bulb moment, but on a much bigger scale? Like a sudden realization that changes how you see everything?
Yes, that's it exactly. I was young, and I thought life had to follow this very specific linear path. You go to school, you get a job, you get married, and this book just shattered that idea for me. The protagonist, the main character, was so brave. She showed me that you can start over at any time, that your life is your own story to write. It was such a powerful underlying theme.
Wow. So the underlying theme wasn't just about one woman's journey. It was about the freedom to choose your own path. I can see why that would have a profound impact, especially when you're young and thinking about the future.
It really did. It completely changed my perspective on what success or happiness had to look like. It's one of those ideas that really resonated with me and has stayed with me ever since.
When a book resonates with you like that, it's more than just enjoying a story. It feels like the author reached into your own heart and wrote down something you didn't even know you were feeling. It feels personal.
Exactly. It feels like you were meant to find that book at that exact moment in your life. And I think that's why we're so passionate about sharing them. It's not just, hey, read this cool story. It's, hey, this thing changed my perspective, and maybe it will for you too.
So this book, is your copy of it pristine and perfect on a shelf, or is it well-loved?
Oh, it's completely dog-eared. The spine is broken, there are coffee stains on at least 3 pages, and the corners are all folded down. It's a mess.
Dog-eared. I love that term. It's the sign of a truly loved book when you fold the corner of the page to keep your spot instead of using a bookmark. It's a badge of honor for a book, I think. My most beloved books look like they've survived a battle.
It's interesting, we've talked about fantasy and quiet novels, but what about nonfiction? I had a similar epiphany moment, as you called it, from a book that wasn't a story at all. It was a book about psychology.
Oh, really? I find those can be even more directly life-changing. What was it about?
It was about cognitive biases, the little glitches in our thinking that make us act irrationally. And it was so thought-provoking. Every single page I was just stopping and thinking, wow, I do that. Or, oh, that explains why my uncle argues like that at family dinners.
I know that feeling. When a book gives you a new lens to see the world through, it's like you've been given a secret decoder ring for human behavior.
Exactly. It was one of those seminal works for me. You know, a seminal book or study is one that is so important and influential that it completely shapes everything that comes after it in that field. This book was like that for my own understanding of people.
A seminal work. I like that. It's a very powerful word. It's not just important, it's foundational, like it's the root of a whole new way of thinking. Did you find it easy to read? Sometimes those kinds of books can be a bit dry.
That's the thing. It shouldn't have been, but it was a total page turner. The author used so many great stories and real-world examples that it didn't feel like a textbook. It was just one fascinating insight after another.
That's the key, isn't it? A great nonfiction writer can make the most complex topics feel like a thrilling story. It's a real art form. A true page-turner is a book you literally can't put down, whether it's about a detective solving a crime or the science of why we make bad decisions.
Right. I remember I was reading it on the tube in London and I completely missed my stop. I was just so absorbed in a chapter about the sunk cost fallacy. That's when you know a book has gotten you.
Missing your stop is the ultimate 5-star review for a book. It's that total sense of escapism again, even in the middle of a crowded train.
You know, your psychology book reminds me of another type of book that can be incredibly thought-provoking, one that works as an allegory.
Okay, allegory. Let's break that down. That's when a story has a hidden meaning, right? Like on the surface, it's about talking animals on a farm, but it's really about politics.
Precisely. Animal Farm by George Orwell is the classic example. The story itself is simple, but the underlying theme is a powerful critique of a political system. Reading an allegory feels like you're solving a puzzle. You're constantly thinking, okay, what does this character really represent? What is the author really trying to say about our world?
That's a great way to put it. It's a story that operates on 2 different levels. It adds a whole layer of depth. Have you read any modern allegories that you loved?
I read a science fiction novel last year. On the surface, it was about a colony of humans on a distant planet, but the entire book was a brilliant allegory for climate change and how we're treating Earth. It never once mentioned climate change, but the message was so clear and powerful, it was absolutely chilling.
Wow, that's clever. So the author trusted the reader to connect the dots. That's way more effective than just hitting you over the head with a message. It makes you feel smart when you figure it out.
It does, and it makes the message resonate with you on a much deeper level because you arrived at the conclusion yourself. You weren't told what to think, you were shown. It's the difference between a lecture and an epiphany.
That's so true. It's the show don't tell rule of writing, but for the entire book. You know, I think a lot of the best children's stories are actually allegories. They teach kids about morality, friendship, and courage through these fantastical tales.
Oh, absolutely. They tackle some incredibly profound ideas, but they do it with such a gentle hand. The protagonist might be a small hobbit or a young wizard, but their journey teaches us about our own capacity for bravery. We see ourselves in them. We live vicariously through their struggles and their triumphs.
And we end up with these wonderfully dog-eared copies of books about wizards that secretly taught us how to be better people.
Okay, Finn, I have a question for you. You've spent a lot of time in both the US and the UK. Have you ever noticed a difference in book culture? Like the way people talk about books or even the covers?
Oh, the covers. Don't get me started on the covers. It's a classic debate. The American edition of a book will come out, and it's usually very bright, maybe with a person on the cover, very direct. The UK cover for the exact same book will be like a single beautifully photographed feather against a moody gray background.
That is so true. The UK covers are always so artistic and subtle. The US covers are designed to scream, "This is a thriller," or "This is a romance" from across the bookstore.
Exactly. It's like the US cover is shouting, "This book is a real page-turner," and a UK cover is whispering, "This work contains a profound underlying theme for you to discover."
It's a totally different marketing philosophy. I remember when the Harry Potter books first came out, they had the children's covers, but then they released adult covers in the UK so people wouldn't be embarrassed to read them on the train.
Yeah, that was a very British thing to do. There's sometimes a bit of a stigma in the UK about being seen reading a children's book in public, whereas in the States, I feel like people are just more openly enthusiastic. Like, yeah, I'm 40 and I'm reading a book about teenage vampires and it's awesome. There's less judgment.
That's an interesting observation. Do you think that extends to how we talk about books too?
I think so. In my experience, Americans are often more direct with their praise. "I loved it. It was incredible. You have to read this." In the UK, the praise can be a bit more reserved, a bit more analytical. You might hear someone say, "Yes, it was quite thought-provoking, wasn't it?" which is their way of saying they thought it was brilliant.
It's like a secret code. Quite thought-provoking is high praise indeed. We should make a translation guide for American and British book reviews.
We really should. Chapter 1, What Not Bad Actually Means. But it's what we're talking about today, isn't it? Finding the right words. Whether you're American or British, moving beyond the simple phrases to say what you really mean. Whether that's calling a book seminal or just admitting you cried at the end.
I think you're right. And I'd love to know from our listeners, do you notice these differences in your country? How do book covers look where you are? Let us know in the comments. We read every single one. We've talked about themes and ideas, but for me, the heart of any great story is the characters. I finished books and genuinely felt sad that I couldn't hang out with the protagonist anymore.
Oh, a book hangover. It's a real thing. When you've spent hundreds of pages inside someone's head, living their life vicariously, and then it just ends. The silence is deafening.
Exactly. The best authors create a protagonist who feels like a real person. They're flawed, they make mistakes, they have hopes and fears that resonate with our own. They're not perfect heroes. They're messy and human.
And that's what makes you root for them. You're not just reading a story, you're on a journey with them. I think that's why it's so jarring when a movie adaptation gets a character wrong. It feels like they've misunderstood your friend.
Oh, 100%. If the actor doesn't capture the essence of the protagonist I imagined, the whole movie is ruined for me. Because I've already had the epiphany with that character. I've already been through the trenches with them.
Do you have a favorite protagonist of all time? One that has really stuck with you?
That's like asking me to pick a favorite friend. It's so hard. But if I had to choose, it might be Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice. She's witty, intelligent, and not afraid to speak her mind, even when it's not the proper thing to do. She felt so modern to me, even though the book was written over 200 years ago.
A classic choice. She's definitely a protagonist who was ahead of her time. For me, it might be someone a bit more unlikely. There's a character in a detective series I love. He's grumpy, he's difficult, but he has this unshakable moral core. He's not always likable, but you always trust him to do the right thing.
Understanding. So it's not about being nice, it's about being compelling. He sounds like a very thought-provoking character to follow.
He is. The books are always great mysteries, total page-turners, but the real reason you keep reading is to spend more time with this fascinating, complicated person. The mystery is just the vehicle for the character study.
And that's when you know you're reading a masterpiece, when the story is over, but the characters live on in your mind forever.
So let me ask you this, Hazel. Are you a rereader? Do you go back to these books that had a profound impact on you?
Oh, absolutely. I think rereading is one of life's greatest pleasures. The book doesn't change, but you do. You come back to it 5 or 10 years later with all new life experiences, and you discover things you completely missed the first time around.
See, I struggle with that. There are so many new books I want to read, I feel guilty going back to one I've already finished. It feels like I'm wasting precious reading time.
I understand that feeling, the fear of missing out on new stories. But rereading isn't about the plot. You already know what happens. It's about rediscovering the feeling, the atmosphere. It's like visiting an old friend. You don't need to relearn their life story. You just want to be in their company.
I've never thought of it like that. Visiting an old friend. I like that. So when you reread that novel about the woman starting her life over, the one that gave you an epiphany, does it still have the same effect?
It's different now. The initial shock of the epiphany is gone, but it's been replaced by a deep, comforting warmth. It reminds me of the person I was when I first read it and how far I've come. The underlying theme of self-determination resonates with me in a new way, as an adult who has actually had to make some of those big life choices.
Okay. You're starting to convince me. Maybe I should go back and reread that seminal psychology book. I bet I get even more out of it now. I'd probably see the concepts playing out in my own life even more clearly.
I think you would. You'd probably find your original copy, all dog-eared and highlighted, and see notes in the margins from your younger self. It's a conversation with the book, but also a conversation with who you used to be.
Now I'm just picturing myself arguing with my own margin notes from 10 years ago. No, past Finn, you completely misunderstood that chapter.
That's part of the fun. It shows you've grown.
Okay, so what about giving books? When you give someone a book that changed your life, it feels like a very vulnerable act, doesn't it?
It's terrifying. You're not just giving them an object, you're giving them a piece of your heart. You're saying, this thing had a profound effect on me, and I hope it does for you too. The pressure is immense.
It is. And you're secretly waiting for their review. And what if they just say, it was okay? It feels like a personal rejection. It feels like they're saying, your heart is okay, I guess.
Exactly. I gave someone a copy of my favorite Allegory once, a book that I thought was just the most brilliant thing ever written. And they came back to me and said, it was a bit weird. Why were the main characters animals? They completely missed the point.
Oh no, that's the worst case scenario. They read the story, but they didn't read the story. They missed the whole underlying theme.
It was a painful moment. We're not friends anymore. No, I'm kidding. But I did learn a valuable lesson. A book that gives you an epiphany might just give someone else a headache. It's so personal.
It is, but I still think it's one of the best gifts you can give. When you get it right and the book resonates with them as much as it did with you, that creates such a special bond. You now have this shared experience, this shared secret world that you've both visited.
That's true. It's a beautiful thing when it works. I have a friend who recommended a book to me that I never would have picked up on my own. It wasn't my usual style, but he said, just trust me. And he was right. It was a difficult read, very thought-provoking, but it completely changed my perspective on something important.
And now you trust his recommendations forever?
Forever. He gets it. He understands the kind of story that will get past my cynical brain and hit me on a deeper level. He knows which protagonist I'll end up rooting for. Giving a good book recommendation is a true skill.
It is. It's an act of empathy. And for everyone listening, if a friend gives you a book, know that it's a huge compliment. Even if you don't love it, appreciate the gesture. They saw something in it that made them think of you.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the feelings and ideas around these life-changing books. Let's bring it all together. For everyone listening who wants to get better at talking about books in English, let's recap some of the amazing vocabulary we've used today.
Right. So instead of just good, you can say a book was thought-provoking. It made you think deeply. Or if it was really exciting, you can call it a page-turner.
Exactly. And if it had a really deep and intense effect on you, you can say it was profound. If it gave you a sudden, huge realization, you had an epiphany.
Don't forget the physical book itself. If you loved it so much that you read it over and over, your copy is probably dog-eared.
I love that one. And when you're talking about the story, you can mention the main character, the protagonist, and the main message, which is the underlying theme.
And if that theme is hidden inside another story, it's an allegory, a very clever way to write.
And perhaps my favorite phrase we've discussed, when a book's message or feeling connects with you personally,
you can say it resonated with you. It's such a beautiful way to express that connection.
It is, and these aren't just fancy words. Using them helps you understand your own feelings about the book better. It forces you to think, okay, why did I like this? Was it the plot, the characters, the ideas? It makes you a more active reader.
That's such a great point, Finn. Learning these words isn't just for sounding smart in English, it's a tool for a deeper appreciation of the art you love. It allows you to share your passion in a more meaningful way. This has been such a wonderful conversation, Finn. It makes me want to go and immediately start rereading an old favorite.
You've convinced me. I'm going to go find my old dog-eared copy of that psychology book and see what my younger self had to say. I'm a little nervous, honestly.
Don't be. It's a beautiful thing. It shows you've grown. And thank you to everyone who joined us today on the Kindle English Podcast. It's a real privilege to share this time with you.
It really is. I think the big takeaway for me today is that a book can be so much more than paper and ink. It can be a friend, a teacher, or a doorway to another world. The experience of reading is truly profound.
Well said. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe to the Kindle English Podcast. Leave a like and share it with a book lover in your life.
And tell us in the comments, what is one book that changed your life? We would genuinely love to know.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Happy reading.